Maybe they're just high and naked and inexperienced and don't know what's going on. But it felt like a scene from Midsummer. There's didgeridoos going on, and I'm like, okay, this is not the spot for me right now.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tibersi.
Hello and welcome, my friends, to 81 episodes of Jokes and the Gym. This week is the Country Fair edition, Oregon Country Fair, no less. This is one of the weekends I look forward to most in the year. It's just a friggin' delight. Being from the area and not having grown up as a part of fair, I have to admit I was not sure what it was going to be like to start, but then I was lucky enough to become a part of it through comedy, and I've just absolutely loved it. It's a week of joy and whimsy and merriment, and who doesn't want whimsy and merriment in their life? You know what I mean? I could take a bit of whimsy, joyful merriment, especially right now. I think we all could. And so it's just a game of having fun and just doing your best. Also, like for me, I know that so many trips, so many things, even if I look forward to them, take a lot of time, energy, effort, resources of me, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. All of that stuff goes into it. And so I have to prepare. And especially now, knowing what I know about my own health and Tommy the tumor, I am taking this year slow. And that's going to be the name of the game this year, is just to like make sure I try to rest, make sure I'm hydrated, make sure I'm eating good food, make sure I'm not burning myself out, because it's going to be in the high 80s, pushing 90 throughout the weekend. I'll be hosting, I'll be doing some shows here and there, stuff like that. Who knows what else I'll be getting into? I got some exciting ideas that I'm going to be a part of, a lot of good stuff. I'm so fortunate to be part of the spoken word camp, and I'm pumped to be on the team again this year. So very thankful to be a part of it. Happy to be going back again, and I'm excited for this year, but also, I want to soak it up, because I don't know how all this surgery stuff's going to affect me. I think it's going to affect me great. I'm going to be feeling better afterwards. But in the meantime, you got to live your life. My neurosurgeon was like, yeah, go to fair, have fun. Why not? Have a blast. Enjoy. Just make sure to be hydrated and all that kind of stuff. So, and then my GP said the same kind of thing too. So, no reason to stop what you're doing. Just if you have something that's limiting you, limitations, then make sure that you're taking those into account too. And don't try to overdo it. That's the thing that a lot of us, I know myself included, try to do, is just do. Go. Don't stop. There's just so many things going on, especially leading up to fair, into fair. And then you get in there and you're like, and I've been prepping this week to go to fair, trying to get my sleep right. I didn't sleep well last night. I was unhappy, displeased about that. But then I got a little nap in and doing my final pack and that kind of thing. And hopefully I'll be able to get out of there in one piece this year. I'm excited to go check it out, eat some food, Tofu Palace, vegan donuts, corn on the cob, all this good stuff, and just so many new things. You don't even know it's going to pop up. You don't know what's going to happen. And so you go with an open mind, you go to contribute, you go to be a part of it, and you go to have fun and enjoy yourself. So those are some exciting things I'm looking forward to. My performance goal is to perform at the Ritz. I'm gonna perform a couple times on Spirit Tower. I'm doing some intros. There's a mic tonight that I'm excited to check out. Tonight's Thursday, but then I'm gonna record more of the pod after I come back on Monday. So looking forward to this whole weekend. Just wanted to get a couple thoughts out, Just woke up from a nap, a little groggy, watching an OPB documentary on Fair just to kind of get in the mood, get ready. Gonna do a couple last minute things, finish up my packings, finish up all of that stuffs. Pet my cats, hug my mom, all that jazz, and then head out for a lovely weekend. So I'll see you on the other side. I hope if you're there, say hi. Say hi to a brother. Say hi to a sister. Say hi to anybody that you want. Have a blast. I'm ready to go, mostly. I'm excited to go, excited to set up camp, see spoken words, see my friends, see the fam. Have a blast. So, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a blast. I'll see you on the other side. Peace. Here's a transition. This is a transition. I'm going to Fair. I was at Fair. On the other side of the song, I'll be there. This is the Fair. I'm coming back from Fair. I'm coming back from Fair. Hello and welcome back from Fair, everybody. How have we fared? How'd you fare? Was it fair? Are you living your fairest life? Whatever that means. Whatever that means. I am on the other side of Oregon Country Fair 2025, and let me tell you what, this year was a doozy. In so many ways, I can only say it was great, it was wonderful, it was challenging, it was hard, it was exhausting. It was a lot. There's the yin and the yang of so many of our experiences, and I tell you what, this weekend encapsulated that for me greatly. So greatly that I'm excited to just dig into it. I'm going to tell you a bit about my experience, which was vast and it didn't cover quite as much time as I thought it was going to, but that's okay. It's for the best, in fact, and we'll get to that. But I got to start by saying I'm so thankful that I got to experience it this year. I had a blast. It was a one-of-a-kind year for me, hopefully. And in the future, I'll be back better than ever, having a great time. Like I was alluding to in the intro, I kind of nailed prep. I did a good job. I packed appropriately. I got all the stuff I needed down to stuff that I could just carry on one person. A front pack, a backpack, and two side carries. Two side carrying bags, like a farmer's carry. I'm doing farmer's carries to prep for fair. Literally, I was doing stuff like that for a while because I knew there was going to be some hauling, some dragging, some digging, plenty of stuff throughout the weekend. And boy, was there. I'm excited to share with you a bit about my experience this year because I think it encapsulates a lot about what I'm going through and about what experiences are for all of us, right? We oftentimes have such specific expectations of what we're going to experience, whether that's on a trip or in a relationship or at work or with friends or with family or whatever. And I would say more often than not, reality does not align with those expectations. Who's to say if it's for the better or for the worse? I'm not the one to say that. But I think when you prepare for a variety of outcomes, you're able to go with the flow a little bit more. And I think you know that I have been preparing for different things over the past months. I've been doing a lot of stuff to try to get my mind and body in places they need to be in order to move forward in a way that is healthy and sustainable for me for many, many years to come. I'm in fair for the long haul. I'm not just here for 1 or 2 woohoo years. I'm like, oh, this is a part of the fabric of where I'm from, and I am fortunate to be a part of it now. And I hope that I can maintain that over the course of the rest of my life. And there's going to be ups and downs and challenges and beautiful connections and wonderful times throughout it all. And I experienced all of that this weekend. I really did. And on Thursday, after I got ready, I got packed, I recorded the intro to this week's episode. I got out there, I went to the bank, and start right off the bat, the bank had moved. The bank at my local Freddy's was gone. It was no longer there. And not even was the bank gone, there was no more ATM there. There was not even an ATM for me to get the cash out that I was going to use over the weekend. I've got a joke about Fair. Fair is one of my favorite places to go to pretend like capitalism does not exist, while at the same time paying $20 for everything. Because that's kind of what it is. You got to have that cash on hand. But there's something nice about having that cash on hand and just getting an experience to go, here is money, give me back a cookie. Cookies aren't $20, they're $3, but still. Phoenix Rising shout out. We'll get to that. And so I got out there. I found the new bank. I got out the cash. A lady helped me there. I wasn't familiar with the process. I was standing in line and I just needed to go to the ATM there. And that was something that was new. Okay. So I got out there and then I drove right out to Veneta. It's such a quick shot from where I am. It's like a 20 to 25-minute drive from my house, and it's awesome. I really appreciate that. It's like I drive 20 minutes, I'm in a totally different world. And if you've ever been to Fair, if you ever camped there, if you've ever been a performer or staff or done anything, any kind of job, or had an SO pass, the vaunted SO pass. So many people just have the SO passes, significant other passes, and they just get to like spread their fairiness all over without necessarily having big responsibilities. And we'll get to why I am thankful for the SOs in a moment. But I got out there and they were leading up to Fair telling us that resources were slim. There's not as many rides available. There's not as much support. There's not as much is the thing I kept hearing, which is part of why I was not accepted as a performer this year to start. But as is the case with Fair, if you don't get in, but then you get in, there's always opportunities. We're always looking for folks to fill the cracks. That's part of it. People working together. It truly does feel like community out at Fair. People with different skills, different abilities, different health conditions that can do different things that lend themselves to the greater good. And it really does feel like community. And I really love that. I love the diversity of interests and backgrounds and people, and I got to experience a lot of that. There was so many people willing to hold out a helping hand from the jump, which was awesome. Because I got through the welcome in phase. I got my staff bracelet, good colors, bright blue, neon, green, dope, staff. It says I'm staff. Look at that. I'm wearing my colors. These are my colors, neon blue and pink these days. And so I was ready, getting in the Fair zone, Fair mood, waiting in line. And as I am in line to check in, to get my wristband, to get my parking pass, there's a guy in the line next to me, and he has a shirt with a picture of a possum on it. I love possums. Possumcast, holla, hashtag possumcast. And it said, live, laugh, lobotomy, which was a joke that I have written recently in my notebook somewhere. Live, laugh, lobotomy. That's where I'm at. That's what I want to do. That's what my life is about. And I was like, okay, well, this is a sign from the Fair gods that I have to be aware of it from the start. I have to be aware of my Brizane and my his art from the stiz art. And I was. So thank you, Possum Shirt Guy. Live, laugh, lobotomy. I'm getting one of those soon. It's not like a full lobotomy. It's, what is it called? A resection? That's going to be the plan. They're going to resection my brain. Just moving furniture around just getting this old moldy part of your brain out of there. Hey, I'm not moldy. Tommy, you're kind of moldy. And so I got my stuff. I went out to my car. I asked, I'm like, okay, so what are there carts? Can anyone help me get back to my camp from here? And they were like, there was no like, for sure. And so I was like, okay, we'll put my name on a list and see what happens, and to see if I could get a ride. So somebody directs me out to parking lot titled Out of Sight. Out of Sight. And there wasn't any like regular carts around. There was someone kind of floating past in a cart, and I was like, hey, are you able to add another person? And they were like, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not the type to just sit around and wait to see if a turns into a yes. So I'm going to start trekking it, start hoofing it. I did those farmers carries for a reason, dog. And so I started, which was what was probably going to be a hour-long trek in 80 some degrees up from the parking lot to the entrance of fair to the top of the 8, which is where my campsite is with spoken word. Past the Ritz, if you're familiar at all with the map, with the land out there. It's awesome. And also it's a trek, especially if, like me, you're not 100% sure of how to get where you're going at all times, because this is my only my third time staying over, so I'm still figuring stuff out from start to finish. And so I start the long journey, going back to the booth, to the entryway affair, and I'm like, we're just going to do it. We're just going to do it. And as I'm chugging along, farmer's carry in hand, both my backpack, my front pack, my 2 side packs, chugging along, I hear the dulcet tones of one Busta Rhymes telling me to break your neck, using a few expletives in there that I'm not at liberty to say. And I'm like, okay, somebody is just blasting Busta on their bike or whatever, on their horse. There's a couple ladies on horses I saw out there, fair people helping out with traffic. And then as Busta gets closer, I don't even have the energy to turn around to see what it is. But Busta stops right beside me, and who is it but a man in an MF Doom mask and an oversized dune buggy golf cart with a couple of fairgoers in there offering me a ride. Boom. Boom. From the start, little bit of fair magic sprinkled to get going. I jump in the back of the cart. They're like, come on in. I have immediate relief for not having to like trek a mile or more through the parking lots with all my stuff in tow. And it felt great. And then the Busta Rhymes sounded awesome. And I was, while not breaking my neck, having a darn good time compared to where I was moments earlier. On the ride in towards the main camp entrance or towards the main fair entrance, there's another little walker who jumps in. A nice man eating a salad named Lance hopped in. His first fair, I could tell he was, a little lost as well, but I loved seeing somebody get their greens in to start. Lance for the win with the greens, eating straight out of the plastic salad container, just getting the weekend going right. That is the smart thing to do, Lance. And we chatted, and it was the first person I kind of interacted with, all fair, and got back to the check-in site. And I get out, and I thank MF Doom, and I go on my merry way. And what do I know? Within 10 paces, I see my first friend of the weekend affair. My first actual friend, someone I've worked with, someone I know, someone who's been a friend and a member of the Y and even a client here and there. And she was like, "Hey, Rudy." I was like, "Whoa, what is up?" And we met, and she was like, "Hey, can I help?" She knows what's going on with me. So to be greeted by a friend who knew what was going on in my life, physically, mentally, emotionally, and then to be offered a hand was huge. And because I have worked as her trainer, and then she was carrying one of my bags and I was carrying the other one, so we were both doing suitcase carry. She was like, "I was thinking of you the other day." Yeah, when I was doing my farmer's walk into camp. And that was great. And that was so great for that to happen. And at this point, I'm still kind of in like, gotta get to camp. I'm in that mode. And she's like, "I'm walking up to my first shift. Let's come on, we'll walk up and it'll be great." And so we start the walk. And as soon as we get into fair, as soon as we enter the main fair, a group of her friends, wonderful friends, come on next to us. And they were like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" They're like, "Oh, this is my friend Rudy. Blah, 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 blah. You guys got bags? Let's carry those bags." And I was like, "Oh, oh, I thought I was going to have to walk for miles carrying so many bags. Just bag on bag on bag on bag, 4 bags, 5 bags if you count my shoulder bag." And then they took a bag from me and a bag from her. So we were left with no bags. I had my backpack, my front pack, my shoulder pack. And for the next 20 minutes, just got to chat, shoot the shit, shoot the breeze, meet some new folks who were the aforementioned SOs. Several of them were on those SO passes. So they're like, "You know what? I got an abundance of time, energy, and resources available to me, and I am happy to share them with you." And so for the next, I don't know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I don't know how long the walk took. Wonderful friends, I think their names started with S's, helped us carry my bags up towards Community Village, Energy Park, and eventually where I said goodbye to my friend. And then my new friends and I kept walking up. We got up towards around the Ritz, and they're like, "This is where we say goodbye." And I was like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, fair significant others. SOs, you have helped me greatly." And I got to camp, and I saw the familiar faces, and I heard the familiar sounds, and felt at ease. It was so nice to get back up there all the way, top of the 8, with those treks, chugging along, doing my thing, and I got there. Laura, as she does, helps you set up, helps you find a nice, appropriate camping spot. I was tucked around other spoken word performers. Friend of the show, Jorah, was in the area. She was off doing her thing. And I was around her tent and others' tents and around my favorite tree that provides shade in a bit of a grassy area, some kind of high grass, little bugs floating around. Set up, felt great. I even brought an air mattress this year. I bought an air mattress. I splurged. I was at Freddy's earlier in the week, and I was like, "I'm gonna get an air mattress if it's under $30." And wouldn't you know it, I got to the air mattress section, and there was one, including a pump, for $30 freaking dollars, just my size. So I got it, and that'll bring me help for years to come. Set it up, got my little tent, my home for the weekend, feeling good. And on that Thursday, I went out I was out on the grounds by 4. Got my first burrito. Some kids helped me. When they asked my name, I said Rudy. The little girl laughed. I said, "Why'd you laugh?" She said, "There's a dinosaur on Ice Age named Rudy." I said, "Oh, I'm happy to share my name with a dinosaur." when I picked up my burrito, I said, what's your favorite character in Ice Age? She goes, oh, probably the weasel. And I was like, of course. I was going to say squirrel, but you're probably right that it's a weasel. And then I put on some pickled jalapenos and carrots, sat over by main stage because I was already tired at this point. Even though I got so much help and so many people were there on that intro journey, I was still feeling it already. And that was kind of a sign of things to come. So I wander around. I get, after I eat the burrito, sitting there for a while, pile of sticks at my feet. A family, a mother and a father with a kid, pull up right there. They're like, oh, there's little sticks there. And I was like, this is obviously curated. It wasn't just like randomly several. It was like, I don't know, 8 to 12 sticks, little sticks, kid-sized sticks. And you know what? I love a stick. I'm a stick guy. What can I say? This right here in my hand is maybe my favorite, my most prized possession. Not just my most prized stick, but it's my most prized possession. Look at this thing. Expelli freaking armis. Look at that. Look at that. A perfect cut. There's a nice crack coming up. Ooh, that's a good stick. This is like the first thing I show people when they come over. Literally. I'm like, hey, you want to see something cool? And I show them this stick. There's something good about a stick that just does you right. I'd say I got cats for my depression. I got sticks for the ADHD. You know what I mean? You got a favorite stick? What's your favorite stick like? Show me a picture of your favorite stick, dog. I'd love to see that. Let's talk sticks sometimes. And this kid was playing with those sticks, enjoying himself. Kind of. I'm glad I don't have a child to consider it fair. I just don't have the bandwidth for it. I had come into this fair with enough energy to take care of myself. I had prepared. I had done everything I could. I had slept. I had rested. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do what I can in order to meet the needs that I've been asked to do at fair. That's what I had. And so that was my goal. I'm like, okay, gonna have fun. I'm gonna sleep. My number one goal over the weekend was to make sure I didn't miss any meds and to get some rest. That's, I guess, two goals. Meds, make sure I hit all my meds. I'll tell you right now, spoiler alert, I did. Nailed it. TGI meds. And to stay hydrated and wear sunscreen. You know how much I love those things. Please do those things for yourself as well. On that note, I'm going to slurp it up. Stay hydrated, my dogs. And so I went and I got my first cookie. Chocolate chips, starting off classic. Wandered around. And you know what? To my surprise, I was a lot more familiar and remembered the grounds a lot better than I thought I might. So I'm just floating around, having a good time. Eventually make my way back up to camp. And on the way up to camp, I bump into my good friends. Devin Jones, friend of the show, and his fam. His mom. All sorts of good folks. Holla to that whole camp by the porta potties near entertainment camp. Those are my friends. Good people, and that's what fair is. It's about seeing fair fam and just appreciating the folks that are there. So we chatted, we connected for a while. It was a beautiful thing. Got back to camp, connected with Jorah. We make kind of a plan to maybe meet up at this Mike show, Fuble the Dragon later, near the dragon. That's the other thing about fair. It's like, where is it? It's like, oh, you just pass several exaggeratedly large noses, take a left at the dragon's taint, and then you go straight down and follow a goblin for 2 minutes, and you'll get to just where you want to be. I like to say that a lot of the magic of fair comes from getting lost. I didn't find all of the things I was intending to, but I found a lot of things that I wasn't intending to. And I think that's what a big part of fair is. Yeah, check out the check out the Peach Pit, know who you want to see, check out the times, see the acts, have a blast, know what's going on, prepare for it, move to those spaces. I would say you have one or maybe two acts that you absolutely know you want to see and make sure you get there to see them. But otherwise, like, allow it to happen. There's so much going on. And that's part of the fun of the process, I would say. And so I was doing that. And then went out, had some pierogies. The pierogies were dope at the pierogi and ice cream sandwich shop. Sweet interaction with the gal working there. Very nice to meet folks and be friendly. Folks are receptive and open and happy to chat, even just a little bit. And I'm not trying to chat your ear off all day. I'm not trying to whatever. I'm just trying to have a good time and feel connected and feel like the people I'm interacting with are human beings. You know what? You know what? I love a human being. You know that. You know that about me. So then I wandered around and didn't find the thing I was looking for, and eventually wound up at that talent show place and saw Jorah perform. And it was great. And then I enjoyed another leisurely walk up the 8 with Jorah and a couple of her friends. I think, you know what the funny thing is? I think all of the helpers, all of the ladies that I walked up the 8 with that I didn't know, I think all their names started with S. There was like a Sarah and a Sonia and a Shauna. There was maybe a Shiloh. I was like, what is all these S's? And then I got back up to the top of the 8, top of the 8. I'm tired. It's the end of the day. And I'm like, you know what? Friday's my big day as far as performances are concerned. So I'm going to make sure that I try my best to sleep the frick right on night 1 so I can give it my all on Friday. I go back to the pierogi place. Shout out to Jeff. My homie Jeff loves pierogies. And I remembered last year that they had grilled Brussels sprouts as well. And I was like, that sounds like a good nighttime snack. I don't want some heavy, gnarly thing in my belly as I'm trying to go to bed. I want some friggin' greens, dog. And I got back to the pierogi place and I saw the same gal who was working there. And I go, your name started with an A? Because we introduced ourselves. And she goes, no, it's Sydney. I go, oh, yes, ended with a Y. She laughed and goes, ended with a Y. She goes, Sydney, like the city in Australia. I said, oh, yeah, g'day. Ordered the Brussels sprouts. Ugh, so good. $6 for Brussels sprouts. I'm not going to get deep into the cash money, but when you can get a snack for like that $3 to $6 range, Rudy's a happy boy. Got a thin stack of 20s in my pocket, ready to be used. They were used on an appropriate later night snack. Got those Brussels sprouted right in my belly. Got back to camp, and guess what? I nailed it. I peed. I brushed my teeth. Got in my sleeping shorts. Went right the frick to sleep. 8 hours later, woke up a new man, ready for Friday, ready to slay the day. Where are my slayers at? Slaying Friday. So I got out there. My shift at Spirit Tower, I was the host of several shows at Spirit Tower from 2 to 5:30. Most of them were actually hip-hop shows, which I'm totally down with. If you know me, that's kind of what I mostly listen to. That's a big part. It's like I listen to like Kendrick Lamar, Vince Staples, and Fleetwood Mac, and Talking Heads. Like those are who I listen to. Like that's all high on my repeat playlist. So it was nice that I was able to help kind of not procure, but like have fun and like keep the vibes flowing on those shows, which we'll get to later that day. But I did want to get to Spirit Tower to check it out because at the meeting on Thursday night, the MC meeting, we learned a lot of stuff. Shout out to Tara. leader of the MCs, MC leader, stage MCs, and the stage MCs are just kind of like the place setters. They're like telling you what's going on, introducing the acts to start, kind of letting you know if there's a transition or a changeover, this kind of stuff. And so I I love hosting, as you may know. I love hosting. Hosting is one of my favorite things to do. And so I was happy to be able to do that. And I used to be a freestyler. I used to rap. Like in Korea, I was a rapper. That's a weird sentence to say, but it's the truth. And I did mostly freestyle, but it was a blast. And so I loved it. And I was happy to be a part of those shows. And so on that meeting on Thursday, Tara asked us what we would bring in our bunker, our fair bunker, if everything was provided for, food and needs and all this kind of stuff was provided for. And I had to go with the cats. So I had to go with the cats. So we're gonna have 4 cats in the fair bunker if it's ever called upon, because that's who I would need the most. And I was already missing them by this point. Frostner, Foxy, Milk, and Zeeves. Shout out to the Backyard Boys. Love those guys. Those are my cats, dog. Those are my dogs, cat. And so to see and be seen, I think, is a really important part of life. And sometimes at fair, it can be a challenge when you're not overly excitable, like when you're not going all the way all the time. And that's not me. I like to just kind of like find a nice chair, sit in that chair for 30 minutes, and then go on to my next snack, find the next show, chat with the next friend, take the next shower, eat the next cob. You know what I mean? Those are the things I like to do at fair. Some people go, 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 go. There's tapestries up everywhere that say yes, 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 love, love, love. And I get that, and I love that. And I want people to be able to go with the flow. That's why I was going to name my comedy show the Fair Flow Comedy Show, because it's all about finding the flow of fair and being able to ride it. Being able to ride it one way or another. And I rode that into Jorah's spoken word showcase on Friday. That was most at 11 a.m. First show of the day at Spirit Tower. Bunch of poets getting up there, kind of doing a round robin style. Jorah and I are homies. We're good friends. And she was like, if you want, please be on the show. I'd love to have some comedy spoken word up there. And you know what? I was happy to oblige. And I think it was a really good mix, too, because, like, some of these poets were talking about deeply emotional, traumatic events in their life as friggin' 28-piece parades were jumping right through. We're just like poets were talking about their like passing of their family members, and then a guy on stilts with his butt cheeks out playing the tuba right next to it. And that's what fair is. That's what fair is. You can drop in to little spaces of people sharing their deepest, most realist thoughts, emotions, traumatic experience in some cases. And then there's a guy whose nipples you will never unsee right next to it. Like, what a backdrop for an entire weekend of that. And you just have to be able to go with the fair flow. And I chatted about that on stage. I made some jokes about it. I said my job was easy. My job's easy as a comedian. I get to look at happy faces, smiling faces, whereas we're all crying with you when you're reading poetry, when you're reading pieces like that. Some of the time, not all the time. It wasn't just like a cry fest, but you know, my cat jokes worked well with that crowd. It was fun. Had a good time. Jorah was very thankful. Asked me if I wanted to go up again, and I was like, you know what? I got to eat before I start hosting all day. And she was like, holla. Totally respect that. Love that. Jorah knows what I'm going through, respects a boundary, loves to help out, loves to support. And I really love that about Jorah. She's awesome. So I found my favorite place. One of my main go-tos, Tofu Palace, is one of the main meals I make sure to get every single time. Tofu Palace, love it. Got the full breakfast with the it's the if you don't know Tofu Palace, it's by the people who create Toby's tofu pate. Do you know Toby's tofu pate? Ho ho ho! I love it. So happy to be able to eat Toby's pate. Such a great pate. If you've never tried it, find it, try it, eat it, enjoy it. And their whole plate is a friggin' dope mishmash of tofu and greens and quinoa and sauce and a dope bagel. Perfect big meal for me to get going through my big old shift in the friggin' 90s. We're hitting in the 90s this weekend. A week before, it was like, oh, there would be like mid 80s. By the time it was the weekend, mid 90s. Though those were the 2 to 5:30 shifts. Those were going to be the temperatures the entire time I'm hosting outside. Thankfully, Spirit Tower has a lot of shade. There's a lot of places to chill. Great space. Really like Spirit Tower. Love Spirit Tower. I got to do 3 of our comedy shows there the first year. Second year did 1 there. It was very cool. And again, like I said, got there, got back. Oh, and at Tofu Palace, I met a guy. He's a lifeguard in his 60s named Louie, also has AFib. We started dropping in immediately, talking about our health problem. He knew I had a tumor within 3 minutes, and he was super chill. But when you meet people and you know that he guards people's lives. So I felt totally comfortable talking with him about this stuff. And he sat next to me. He and his wife had a little disagreement. He was like, come sit with us. Come. Because you kind of got to find the spaces where you can. And she was like, no, I don't want. And he was like, please, I'll help you move your stuff. And I was like, yeah, come join. Sure enough, she wasn't down for it. And that's okay. You can say no. That's the other part of fair. You can say no. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe every single tapestry you read. Sometimes a no is okay. Sometimes a no is good. Sometimes a no is necessary. And that's one of the things I've always kind of hated is when someone says no and then other people are like, no, come, just do the mic, come out, do the thing. Blah, 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 blah. That peer pressure stuff just irks me to no end. Sometimes I need an encouraging tap on the tuchus. I need people to remind me. I need people to reach out and let me know I'm wanted. But if it's a no, let it be a no. Let it be a no. Because it's not always a yes. But that day was a yes for me in so many ways. Make it back to Spirit Tower. Start to meet the acts. First one is Slicksta. He's a Bay Area hip hop guy. Had a crew backing him up, some fair folk. And Slicksta's like cool, He like looks dope. He's got nothing but abs. What does it say? Like Bay Area hip hop vibes. And it was we were getting hyphy. He was popping off all weekend. Every show I saw him do, he was awesome. And he had his girl backing him up, his lady, his lover, his friend, his backup vocalist. He said all those things on stage. And I actually met her in the group camp photo on Friday morning, which was an important part of the weekend, that Friday morning meeting at camp. Learned a lot about learned a lot about a lot of things. How to use Narcan and a fire extinguisher. Hopefully not at the same time. And in the group photo, the big group photo, they said, look at somebody next to you and smile. And that was the person I was next to was Haley, one of Slicksta's. She was working with him all weekend, and she was a delight and friendly and fun and had fair vibes going. And they're from the Bay. Very cool. Very kind. But not only Haley was backing him up, but 2 other fair folks, Cricket and Crouton, baby. Cricket and Crouton. Oh my gosh, how can you not love Cricket and Crouton on the backup vocals and the guitar? They were crushing it all day, all weekend. Cricket, Crouton, Haley, and Slicksta crushed it. Had a blast. And he was getting people moving. There was a lot of people all weekend at the hip hop shows. They seemed to be really popular, and I was very glad to hear that. Right in front of Rita's Burritos, baby. So got to introduce them, have a good time. After that, second act of the day was Alpha Ready. Met Alfred and his DJ Alden, DJ Al Dente, aka Noodles. Shout out to the squad. And he was awesome. Alpha was dope. He's a hip hop guy too, and he was mostly freestyle. Most of his 70-minute set was freestyle. He's like, no, I still do. I put some tracks in there too, some written tracks, but for the most part, it's freestyle. And he'll have people come up and write words on the board that he'll try to rap with. And we were chatting it up, and we'd already met. I tried to introduce myself to the acts around camp if I see them beforehand, so I know their vibe, and I can be a good host and do the things that make for a good show. And I was like, you ever watch Harry Mack? He's like, dude, I opened a show with Harry Mack in 2017 or whatever. And I was like, hell yeah. Harry Mack is a great freestyler too. His content is online and it's awesome. And so we had a connection, and it was a lot of fun to chat with those guys and just see him work. He was spitting beats for over an hour. It was awesome. Spitting rhymes. Do you spit beats? Some people spit beats. So that was great. And after that, the third act of the day was Kunu Bearchum and Michael Leslie. And Kunu's a multimedia producer and artist, and also a hip-hop artist, and influenced by tribal sounds as well that he incorporates into some of his tracks, which was really cool to see. And also, if you haven't watched the new OPB documentary on the Oregon Country Fair, it's on YouTube. It's available on YouTube. So I searched Oregon Country Fair on YouTube. It was one of the first things that came up. It's worth watching. It'll give you a good idea of what fair is. And he was one of the producers on the show. His name popped up as one of the first producers as the credits rolled at the end. I was like, oh my gosh, I get to introduce that guy. How cool. He produced some of the segments about the history. And I was really excited to meet him and be able to help them have a good set. Again, throughout Alfred's set, Kunu's set, Slicksta's set, everybody was having a blast. And it's hot. People are dancing. People are having fun. It's a good time. And just made it through that day. And we crushed it. People had a blast. By the end of it, it was awesome. Felt so happy to be able to have been a part of it. And I was like, okay, day one, baby. Nailed day one. How can I set myself up for day two? So I got another meal, got my second cookie back at Phoenix Rising, doing a chocolate chip tour. This time it was the peanut butter chocolate chip, and hot diggity dog. That PB and chocolate chip was divine. The guy was like, how about that one? And I pointed to the one next to it. I said, how about that one? Seems like it has more chips. He's like, I like the way you think. So I chipped it up. Chipped it up after some hip hop. How can you not? Right? How can you not? I was like, you know what? I'm feeling grody already. At this point, sweaty, ready for a shower, dog. And if you've never been to fair, one of my favorite parts about fair is the Ritz, which is the sauna. Not everybody goes to the Ritz, but everybody can go to the Ritz. Families are in there. Men are in there. Women are in there. You can be nude everybody's there's 150 naked people in there just showering it up, just getting clean. It's awesome. And so I was so thrilled to be able to just get a shower in, because there's little showers over by the camp, and those are nice. But I wanted to make sure to get a proper shower in at the Ritz, because the little showers by the camp are smaller, not great water pressure, pretty cold, and you wait for like an hour. But at the Ritz, you pay your entry fee, you take off your shoes, you go in there, you're showering within minutes. I'm like, oh, divine. And one of the coolest thing about the Ritz is that people perform in there, some performers. And that was, again, my big goal this year, to perform at the Ritz. And I had kept telling people that that's what I was going to do, or that was my big performance goal this year. Not that it was what I was going to do, but it was a big goal of mine, putting it out there. Spoiler alert, didn't happen, but that's okay. I know several people who did perform there, and I told them, "Hey, I'm looking to perform at the Ritz," and so I'm planting those seeds. It may happen, it may not, but I'm putting it out there, and I'm trying to kind of do the manifestation. It's not manifesting when you're just trying to make things happen. I guess that's manifesting. Is that what it is? Maybe, sure. But oh my gosh, the shower was amazing. It felt so good. And at this point, I'm tired. I'm tired at this point of the day, and I'm just like, hands in my hair, barely used. There was some soap there. You grab a squirt of Dove. Somebody's Dove was there, conditioned my hair, felt great. Went into the sauna. There's a steam room in the middle of it. So there's several like banks of showers, and there's a performance space. There's a stage, and like I said, sometimes the performers are nude on there too. Sometimes they're not. I saw Reggie Watts there the year before. I won't tell you if he was nude or not, but I was. I saw my friend Jorah and my friend Gene last year, nude as can be. It was awesome. This year I didn't get to see any acts perform there because it just wasn't the right time. But that's okay. I got a shower in, went into the sauna, and you know what? It was a little too much for me. I think, some people go in there and they do the ohms, and that's good. That's nice. It's relaxing. But then there's like younger folks in there who just have never been around naked people, and they're like doing weird chants and like giggling. Maybe they're just high and naked and inexperienced and don't know what's going on. But it felt like a scene from Midsummer. There's didgeridoos going on, and I'm like, okay, this is not the spot for me right now. And a woman was walking out, and the doors are kind of slidey. Remember that the doors are slidey, not pushy. They're slidey. And she went out, and I went out around the same time, and the doors were again like not always cooperating quite like you want them to, and I could tell she was over it a little bit, and so was I, and we're like kind of waiting to get out. Someone else was coming in. She's like, this place doesn't want you to leave. This place doesn't want you to leave. And we kind of chuckled. I said, yeah, it's trying to keep us here. Call us back in. And you know what? While I didn't get to perform at the Ritz, I made a nude woman chuckle slightly. Slightly. And I'll take that as a win. I don't know what she looks like. I didn't make eye contact. I wouldn't dare. That's not true. I would dare. But this was not the time for meeting new people for me. It was time to get out of that sauna and take another little shower. And it was dope. It was dope. That night, I went out again. One more time after the shower, after I got redressed, and was just going to, try to check out a show or two. There's a few things going on. Friend Rizzo was doing some cool kind of burlesque thing that I wanted to check out. And I didn't make it there. I got lost. This was the time I got lost. It was dark, but I still was able to get my bearings. I wouldn't say bearings. I had a bearing. Not my bearings. I was close. And I couldn't find multiple things, but I ended up in a performance space I was drawn to because it felt like I was just dancing in a screensaver. Like it was like vibey, colorful music, tones, tunes, people dancing. And on the way in that space, which I was just drawn to naturally, my good friend Nitai, friend of the show, was there as well. I know she's a fair goer, and so it was so nice to just naturally bump it. She goes, Rudy, And we go, oh my gosh, knee tie. And we shared a beautiful hug. And it was great. So happy to do it. And from there, I just kind of sat on a bench. That's my other big tip for fair. Find places to sit. If you want to sit, sit. Find a good chair and sit on it. There's so many benches, so many places to relax, so many, like, both natural and handmade benches. And I feel like that's a big key as well. Conserve your energy when possible. If you're there for the whole weekend, find a good seat, dog. And so, that night, Friday night, on my way out, I forgot to mention I got to the Cobb. I got lost in the Cobb, baby. I found the corn on the cob place. Oh, I didn't find. I know where it is. Artichoke. And I'm on my way out. It's like Friday night. Don't want to eat something too heavy. Want to feel good. Found that Cobb. Oh my gosh. I went to the Cobb store. Nobody was there. Some guy trying to shoo me away. Lightly. And then the woman who was working there eventually showed up. And she's like, did he try to get you out of here? I was like, I don't think so. It didn't work. I was like, are you guys selling Cobbs? You got the Cobb? She's like, we got the Cobb. And I ordered one. And I was like, do you put anything on it? And she's like, there's hot sauce. There's salt and pepper. There's some Parmesan. And so I put some of that stuff on there. A little hot sauce, a little sriracha on one side, some salt and pepper, a little Parmesan. I'm trying to go dairy free most of the time, but a little cheese will be fine. And I went and I stood at the same standing booth or thereabouts where I saw the man gobbling his Cobb last year. And I started the gobble. And I'll tell you what, it did not disappoint. That Cobb gobbling was amazing, was so good. Oh, it was so good. And so I asked my neighbors, the people at the booth with me, if they could maybe take a photo of me with the Cobb. I said, I've been waiting a long time for this. And sure enough, you're happy. They're like, oh, sure, yeah. There's a guy and a gal. Took a picture of me on the Cobb. And she was like, I hope I didn't have my finger in all of the photos. She didn't, but it was in most of them. And as I'm there, eating this Cobb, getting lost in the Cobb, a young friend from the Y, a kid I know from the Y, who he runs up and he goes, hey, do you work at the Y? I said, heck yeah, I do. I'd helped him through Teen Strength. And I won't tell you his name, but he has the name of a famous C.S. Lewis character. And we chatted for a while, and it was rad. And gave him a high five, and he went on his merry way. The guy at the table, he goes, oh, you work at the Y? I was like, yeah. He said, me and my son go there 3 times a week. I was like, right on. I'll probably see you there. And then the young lady who took my photo was like, what? You said you've been waiting a long time for that corn. What do you mean? So I recapped the story of the man who said he came to fair every year to specifically eat this corn on the cob. And she was like, oh, I get what you mean when you said you were waiting for a while now. And so that was amazing. Got a performance in, got Tofu Palace in, made some new friends, introduced some awesome performers, saw a bunch of people I knew, a bunch of people I didn't know, got to dance in a screensaver while sitting down. So it was even more like a screensaver, right? Just in front of your computer, getting lost in the screensaver. Saw some people I knew, ate the cob. Oh my gosh. It was awesome. And then by that time, I was just like, it's time to go. On my way back, bumped into another good friend, my good friend Lily Holla. And she was working with this healer type woman named Drazmin. I had to ask her name twice, and she goes, Drasmin. It was beautiful. And we were talking about, she was talking about what she was doing, and this was helping people know that they are enough and find their sacred no. And yet they were still inviting me to come to their workshop or what have you the next day from in the afternoon. I was like, well, I work at 2, and Lily was like, you should come from 1. And I was like, I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'm going to have enough energy to do that tomorrow. And Drasmin looks and she goes, thank you for your sacred no. And I felt so seen at that moment, because it sounded like the work that she was doing was really intense and really heavy, working through a lot of shadow work with folks. And I asked her afterwards, I said, how do you feel? She's like, I'm tired. I'm ready to sleep. I'm hungry. I could use a back rub, but I feel fulfilled. I'm like, I get it, dog. I didn't have a back rub in me, but I said to you, would you accept a hug? And she goes, thank you for asking. Yes, I would. And so we shared a nice hug. And that, just a hug sometimes with somebody who's having a hard day, a long day, who's tired, who just needs a tad bit of human connection, that can go such a long way. So that was a yes, but you can also do the sacred no, and that's so important as well. So I was so glad to be reminded of that, because it came in so importantly later in the weekend. I get back that night, and it was rough. Back to camp, didn't nail everything for whatever reason. And there was some people up kind of late nearby, chatting and having some drinks and enjoying their time, and that made it hard to sleep. And I've found that with this new knowledge of my tumor, he hurts my head when he hears certain sounds or pitches or whatever. Like literally, some things will hurt my ears and my head and my face. And when you've got a golf ball sized buddy in your brain, it makes sense that it's pushing on everything, that certain sounds will make it feel uncomfortable. And I feel like a dick sometimes because somebody coughs near me or clears their throat. Like it physically hurts my brain. And I found that was the case with too many things that night. Not just people talking, but just a rustle here and there sometimes. Russell, hi, Russell. Would hurt my head. And I couldn't get to sleep. Couldn't get to sleep. By the time I did, it was late. By the time I woke up, I had gotten less than 5 hours of sleep, between 4 and 5 hours of sleep. And it was rough. That was Saturday. That was Saturday morning. And I knew it was going to be tough. I knew it was going to be tough. And so I told Jorah, because we talked about me maybe doing another set at the 11 a.m. show. I said, you know what? Barely slept. And it would be a small miracle if I made it to the 11 a.m. show. And so I tried to get back to sleep, couldn't do it. Went out, had some breakfast, loved the oats, had the oats, got on the oat boat. Choo choo. Is that a boat? And some people were aware of my conditions. And some people at camp probably were not. But I shared a post in the Facebook group so people at least had an idea of what I was going through. And some people came up and chatted. Photographer, Dragon, friends, people coming up, sharing their stories, sharing their family stories, offering support how they can, because they know that what I'm going through is a lot. And when I would let them know that my neurosurgeon said I'm super impacted by a lack of sleep, they wanted to do whatever they could to help. People even helped me. There's a house on the property, and that's usually restricted for a very select few, and I understand that and respect that. But they offered me some time in there. It's a little cooler. There's an actual bed. Go in there. Are you ready? Do you want to try to go in the house and get a nap? No time like the present. I said I'd love to try. Thank you so much. And I went in there in hopes of getting some sleep before my 4-hour shift in 90-degree heat. And I didn't get any sleep. I didn't get any more. Got to rest a little, felt a little better, but I knew it was going to be tough. And I didn't have the juice I had the day before. Friday, I woke up and was feeling great. But Saturday's a big day at the fair, too. Saturday is the crowdiest, the rowdiest, the loudiest. And so for me and Tommy going on 4 hours of sleep, he probably got all the sleep juice, and I got none of it. And it was going to be tough. It was going to be tough. And so I got dressed, got ready, drank a bunch of water. Shout out to my new water bottle. I'm loving it. Put some stickers on it to start. Look at that. Big one says Rudy Tybersi, Totoro, jokes in the gym. Autism is lit. I'm single. Those are what my stickers say. And we have identified the criers. Those are the stickies so far. Came in clutch, that water bottle, all weekend. Has a good nip, too. I was sad because 2 years ago, my water bottle nip just popped right off. Day one of fair, and I just had to... But that's in the past. Now we got the new one. New water bottle in the house. And so I'm trying to figure out how to balance everything I need in this heat and still do my jobs. Introduce these shows, keep it flowing, keep it going. But by this point, I'd kind of started to alert the crew at Spirit Tower, who was awesome. Shout out to the sound crew, my other MC in the first half of the day, Dave. Shout out to everybody there who may not have been aware of what I was going through, but when they became aware, they were more than happy to help, more than happy to do what they could to support. And one person I haven't mentioned yet was my understudy at the stage MC at Spirit Tower. And that understudy name popped up after I had shared with the group online that I was going through some heart difficulties and a brain tumor and had a procedure coming up on Friday. And so that made me believe that the spoken word crew had heard what was going on and had been prepared for, like, hey, we're going to need some support. We might need some support. And my understudy is this awesome young dude going into his last year of high school. He's been a fair guy for years. Long hair, pencil thin facial hair, guitarist, family of artists, just cool young dude, super supportive, friendly, awesome, happy to have Mo in my corner. And because I knew I was going through some tough stuff when we first met on Thursday, I let him know what was going on. And I alerted him to the possibility that I might not be in the best shape all weekend long because I am going through so much. And he was there. He was there to listen, to hear, to support. The whole weekend he was asking what he could. Oh, how can I help? Friday, he was awesome. He was doing counts. He was being the gopher. He was getting stuff when we needed it. He was informing acts of what they needed to know. He was getting them. He was doing it all. And it was a huge help. Huge help. And I was so glad he was there throughout the weekend. And just a joy, just a delight, and a dope guitarist. I would wake up often hearing him just strum along, and I was like, yep, that's the son of a professional flamenco guitarist. Rock on, dude. And so on Saturday, I was really glad he was there. Just as my shift was shifting into gear, I had been listening to the spoken word artist prior. She was awesome. Just a gorgeous storyteller. Just the stories so captivating, amazing. Talking about her family history, generations of Lebanese family and history, telling stories. And it was awesome. And as someone who had a Syrian grandmother, it felt close to home in some ways as well. But as I was sitting in the back corner listening to these gorgeous stories, I'm trying to sleep and I can't. And I look at my hand and it's shaking already. And I'm like, trying to channel deep breaths. Alpharetti is not only a freestyler, but he's also a breathwork guy. And so he has the audience do breathwork. He does hip hop, he does freestyle, and then we're breathing together, dancing together, having a blast. So I'm trying to do some of that. Look at my hand, still a little shaky. 4.5 hours of sleep, 90-degree weather. Not sitting 100% right. Slicksta was up first. Haley, his vocalist, his partner, was there too. And I kind of let them know I was like reaching some challenging depths. And they said, it's all good. Don't worry. Like you can, if you want to do a little intro, you can, but we got it. We can take care of it. And that's what fair is all about. That's what performers do. That's what we're here for, is to support one another and fill in the cracks, fill in the gaps as we can. And so, okay, all right, and I'm letting the team know. I'm like, hey guys, I'm struggling right now. It's kind of going rough. And they were like, okay, we're here for you. We're here for you. Sound team, Dave, other MC. We were already devising a plan about tomorrow and how we could maybe switch shifts so I could do at least the earlier one, be done early, and maybe get out of there before the crazy heat. He was all about it. People super supportive. Mo and I were chatting. Ways to support. And I could tell that he was nervous at the prospect of having to host. Because if you're not a natural host, if that's not a thing that you're doing, it can take a lot of mental, physical, emotional energy. And I get that. I totally get that. And so just as we are about to kind of get things rolling, one of the producers of the stage, one of the coordinators of spoken word, comes up to me pretty frantically and was like, there's an old lady nearby. There's an old lady. She lost something. There's an old lady who just lost something. Here, are you the next host? Are you the next host, Rudy? I was like, yeah. He's like, come. And we walk over to this woman who is in a frantic state. And he says to her, what did you lose, ma'am? And she goes, my husband. And I was like, oh, whoa, that is not what I was expecting her to have lost. I was like, okay, we're going to look for a Motorola Razor. But nope, it was Martin. And immediately, because I was in such a rough state already, and I had said that to the producer, I'm like, I'm in a pretty tough position right now. I don't know how much stuff I can handle. And she heard this and she looks at me and like, well, could you do it? Could you do it? And looks at me like with a crazed look in her eyes. And by that point, I am in a fully defensive position. I'm like hands up on my heels, going backwards, just absolutely did not have it in me. I thought that I was just being handed off this woman to help her find her lost husband as the show was about to start. I'm like, I'm not equipped for this. And this is, unfortunately, I hate to say this is not my job. I didn't say that, but I was like, I can't do this. And there are other people around who can help with these types of things. I don't know what you want from me right now. And I was like, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. Unfortunately, this is too much for me. And I had to walk away and go in the backstage area and rest and just sit, because that is not what I was able to handle at the moment. And then I heard him go on stage and just make a little announcement that if you're around, Martin, please come back to the stage. Your wife is looking for you. And that was all he was asking me to do, I think. But I didn't know that. That's not what he asked me to do. It's not what he was communicating to me. What I felt like was I was being given an emergency, and I wasn't prepared to deal with that. I literally did not have it in me to deal with that. And so I went backstage and just sat under a tarp in a chair with a back, not a bale of hay, which, shout out to the bales of hay. I love those things. But I wasn't ready to find Martin, you know? It was tough. And so when stage understudy stopped by, shout out to Mo. He's like, can I do something for you? And he's like, here, I'll fill up your water bottle. He went and filled up my water bottle. Gem of a person. He's like, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do? How can I help? And I said, can you just sit here with me? Can you just sit here with me for a little while? And he's like, totally. Yeah. Kind of understanding that I needed to slow down at that point. Understanding that I needed to reset a bit. And I said, can you listen to my story for a minute? Because I need to talk this out. And he said, absolutely. He was happy to hold space. And that simple act of slowing down, expressing what I needed, expressing what I'd been through, expressing what I was feeling, and him just listening, having someone there to listen, was so powerful, so helpful, such an important part of me being able to recalibrate. And this is in 93-degree weather, filled with 15,000 people in the dustiest, most beautiful spot you've ever been. Dusty Sparkles, that's my burlesque name for the weekend. And Mo totally listened. And I was so grateful for his support and his presence. And around that point, Tara, the stage MC leader, who's also a fairgoer, she introduced me a couple times last year at Spirit Tower. She was one of the people who had introduced me in our comedy show. So she's familiar with me. She knows what's going on. She wanted me to be part of the team this year, and I felt that. And she had stopped by Spirit Tower as she was doing, stopping by different venues to see how her MCs are doing, see how the shows are going, all that stuff. And I eventually tracked her down and asked if she had a minute, told her about what was going on. And she was like, let's call it. Let's call it for you for this weekend. And I was like, should what about maybe I can do the earlier shows tomorrow? She's like, you know what? Do you need to? Like that's why we have your understudy. That's why Mo's here. Mo's rocks. And she looks at him, and I could see his eyes getting wider and a little more scared. And she's like, "You got this. You totally got this." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And it wasn't necessarily expected or what he felt most comfortable in, but he's like, "You can, okay, I can, yeah, yeah." And he took it on. And honestly, that right there, just being listened to by people at camp, by people who cared about me, people who had my back, people who wanted me there, but also wanted me to be healthy and knew what I was going through, that I had a procedure, that I have Tommy in the house, um, took such a load off. I love hosting. I love being there. I love supporting. I love keeping it going. But you can't always do everything that you want to do. And so I made a plan. Taro's going to help out more on Sunday. Mo's going to keep introducing the crew, introducing the groups, the performers, the stages, the acts change each day, though there are some of the same. And I was like, oh, I felt immediately a weight lifted off of me. And I was like, I'll stick around to like just help you figure out the rest of the day, the acts today, and give you some tips and input and like some fellowship and just support. And he nailed it. He was nervous. I could see the nerves. I could tell he was nervous, and he felt self-conscious about it. And a lot of first-time hosts and performers feel that way, and I get that. I get that. I have felt that. But somehow found a way to barrel through it. I've learned a way to barrel through my central nervous system. And I'm finding out that that's not been conducive to health. I've called myself weak, or nobody wants to hear my complaints. I'm able bodied. I'm a white guy. I'm straight, whatever. This is what people see. And they're like, you're so put together. Why are you like that? And it's because I've just been masking through hard work for years and years, for so long. And if I had to guess, I'd guess Tommy's been around most of my life. And I'm concerned about how things are going to move forward. I'll talk more about the right frontal lobe in future episodes. But there's a lot of things that impact. If you want to do some research, check out right frontal lobe and see what it controls. And imagine if you had a golf ball sized growth in there pushing on the rest of your brain and how that might impact you. And I can see how it's impacted me for a lot of my life. And I'm concerned moving forward, but I'm also hopeful and excited and positive about what's going to happen. But it was at that time my body had hit a wall and said, you know what, you can't do this anymore. Tara was like, let's get you out of here tonight. You're getting a golf cart back to your car. You'll stick around. You can stick around, help out with the rest of the sets, just help things flow. And then you did everything you could. We love having you here. She gave me supportive words, made me feel like I was wanted, which is something I have a hard time feeling. That's another thing that is challenging about this placement, is that there are things like reading the room and social cues that are harder for me. And I think that the reason I am able to do that as well as I am is because I have studied it so hard and experienced it so much and read so many books about how to communicate, how to interact with others, how to hold space. And yet it takes such tremendous effort all the time. An ex who was a fairgoer was unable to compute that even though I love being around people and social, and even if there are things I love doing, I still feel drained by them. And I think that has been a challenge for me my whole life. And so fair is that kind of experience. It's something that I love, that I'm excited for. As you heard, it's one of the things I look forward to most all year. And I was prepared to just take care of myself and do the things that I could do. But it's such a delicate balance. And when the heat and multiple medications that are new for me are at play, multiple things happening in my life that I'm really trying my best at, don't always allow for us to do what we want to do, or for me to do what I want to do, even if it's important and meaningful, which fair is. And so I was happy to stick around and help one more time throughout the rest of just those intros and getting people on board, getting the shows moving along, helping Mo. The input I gave him, here's something I'll give. Here's a tip that I would give students who are in interviews, and anybody, past, present, and future. If you don't know how to answer something, if you don't know what to do, think about three things: the past, the present, the future. What's going to happen? What is happening? What just happened? So think about that. If you're hosting something, what just happened? Give it up for slicks to everybody. What's happening now? There's going to be a little break before our next act, starting at 4. LL with the chill hop vibes coming back at you. So stick around. That's the future. Right? Easy as pie. That's what it was. Past, present, and future. If you're hosting a show for comedy, give it up for your last comic. Maybe make one joke about what's happening now and then go right into that intro. You're not there to dilly-dally. That's not the host's job. The host is like a flower arrangement in the middle of a table. You look at it once, you know what you're here for, you forget about it the rest of the time if it's doing its job. Unless it sucks. And then you're like, what is happening? What is this? You put a dead raccoon in the middle of the table. That's what a bad host is like. But a good host is just like dahlias that float into the background, that create ambiance, that are in service of the show. What can you do that is in service of the show? And those are some things I try to keep in mind when I'm on stage as well, being a host. How can I make this show better for the people who are doing the heavy lifting? So that's how I see it. I was happy to help some of that. And I was really happy that there was some contingency plan in place and that I was supported enough for my sacred no when it really counted. And that those signs, even though it said yes, 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 all the way through, I was able to say no when it mattered the most. So I hope that if you are ever faced with similar situations, if there's something that you need to say no to, that you're able to, and that you can say it with the conviction that doesn't leave you or others feeling drained or bad because of it. I was so thankful to Tara. Tara? She said both is okay. And I showed that appreciation multiple times. As I was leaving, getting on that golf cart ride after I'd packed up, put my tent away on Saturday. And Saturday around 7 or 8, saw her as I was leaving on the golf cart, gave her a big thanks. said, thank you for listening. And I looked to my right, and I saw Moshe Kasher and Natasha Leggero, who were there at Spoken Word Camp this year. Two comedians I respect and admire, and I laugh at. And I didn't even have the energy to wave, to say anything. And I shared a ride with a wonderful helper, and we chatted and we connected on my way out of fair. And we had a lot of similarities, in fact, and it meant a lot to be able to share that moment with somebody who also didn't quite know where I was going. That's a big part of fair, I have found. I think coordinators like to put two people together who have less than 100% knowledge and then see if they can puzzle the pieces together to figure out what they're doing. And I love that. It's fun. It's a way to learn, a way to grow, a way to connect. And it was a great finish to the weekend. And when I got home, it was just what I needed. Like Tara was saying, go home, see your cats, rest, get in the place you need to be for the stuff coming up. Nobody here is upset with you. We're happy you were here and you did everything. You did nothing wrong. You did everything you could. And that meant a lot just to hear that. And so I hope that you are able to know that as well, whatever you're going through. If you're out there and trying to support, trying to do your best, you're not doing something wrong by saying no. But try to figure out what the actual answer is for you. And if you got to say no, you got to say no. So thank you for listening today. Thank you for letting me share my experience with fair this year with you one way or another. If you have any questions about fair, let me know. Holla at your boy. Reach out. My name's Rudy Tyburcy. RUDYTYBURCZY. Jokes and the Gym at gmail.com. On the socials, whatever. I'm not very good at that stuff, but it's okay. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to see what happens. And I'm thankful for fair. And I can't wait to see how next year goes. I hope to see you there. Thanks for stopping by. Love ya.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tyburcy.
And you know what? While I didn't get to perform at the Ritz, I made a nude woman chuckle slightly. And I'll take that as a win.